Hello, my name is Frank Christensen, and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF in Europe. Welcome to another game training tape. As always, it's never our intention to pick on these officials, but we want to give everybody a chance to improve and to learn. So please feel free to use this training tape as inspiration for your next pregame or your next clinic. And now, let's get to the game film. So on this first play, we have a coin toss here, and we have a fairly good description in the MOFO of how we want to do this. The toss is there. Now we have a winner, and the MOFO says indicate the winner by tapping on his shoulder, and we failed to do that in this situation. So really, nobody really knows who won the coin toss. Obviously, he's talking to both captains, so we don't really know. So it's a small thing, but just as soon as you know, just go ahead and tap the captain on the shoulder, saying, "You won the toss. What do you want?" Anything to add here, Rainer?
Nothing much to add. That's pretty much it.
All right, excellent. Let's move on to play number 2. So in this play, we're looking at really not the play, but rather the position of the referee and the center judge in a crew of 8, which is typically where the center judge is, and the difference from what we're used to with smaller crews is that here neither the referee or the center judge has to cover across the field because we have somebody else to do that. So as soon as the play goes away from you as referee or center judge, you can focus on backside coverage. So you can line up wider than you usually do. And you had a mnemonic device here, Einar?
Well, we were talking about it before the recording. Since the MOFO doesn't exactly tell you where to be, what would be a benchmark? What would be a sort of a guideline? Because it's not a hard and fast mechanic, but a guideline would be, let's say that we have double tight ends. We have one tight end on each side of this formation. If we, as a referee or center judge, line up about 2 or 3 yards outside the outside shoulder of that tight end, then we are probably in a pretty good position. So let's say that the defensive end here, the blue guy, is actually a tight end. We flip him to the other side of the formation. We line up about 2 to 3 yards outside his outside shoulder. I think we're going to be in a pretty good position. And then we do the same on both sides, and that's a good starting position. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it's something to sort of a benchmark.
Yeah. And again, the reason for that is you don't have to cover across the field. As soon as the play goes away from you, you can backside clean up and leave it to your buddy to cover that side of the field. Excellent, good point, Einar. Let's move on to play number 3. So here we are on play number 3, and again, we're not looking at the play as such. It's really a not very interesting extra point. We're looking at the line judge here initially after the play is gone. And as you pointed out, Einar, the MOFO says after the play, jog onto the field. Now, if I'm a back judge or a referee and I see this type of pinching, I would think that somebody is getting into trouble. Something needs to be handled in the middle. So this is, like you said, Einar, this is a little bit too hard pinching, or how did you put it?
Yeah, well, there's a fine line between what's pinching too hard and what isn't. I mean, there's no clear border that, but there's a difference, I think, in jogging in to prevent problems or to be ready for them, and sort of running in because you've seen something and now you have to go in and stop something. And this speed is sort of on the side of I've seen something and I need to stop it.
Yeah.
And if I'm the referee here, I'm going to hold off. I'm not going to necessarily turn away, even because if I see him coming in like that, I'm thinking, okay, something's going on.
Yeah.
My guy has seen something. Maybe he's going to do something that will affect the result of the play or something. So
Yeah.
pinching in is good. He's doing what he should do, but perhaps just adjust the intensity of it. And as I said, it's not a, what is too much, what is too little. It's perhaps a question of taste, but I think both you and I agree, Frank, that this is just this is sending a message that isn't really what he wants to do here.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, body language is communication, and this movement to me communicates that something is up.
Yeah.
But good job actually pinching, because as we can see, the linesman is missing here. We'd like to see both of these wings come in nice and easy, to be in control of what's going on.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good point. Let's move on to play number 4. All right, initially on this play, we're looking at the back judge, and we're looking at his movement, his reaction to the play. Initially, good position 3, that's exactly where we want them, regardless of where your key is. Start in the middle of the field. Good initial movement backwards, that's what we want, so that there's less risk of getting burned. But here, as soon as the ball goes to one sideline, he does look at the ball, but my advice would be turn your hips so that you can start moving kind of a 45-degree angle towards that sideline while you're still backpedaling, so that once the ball is caught over there, instead of in the middle of the field in position 3, you're over closer to the hash, position 1, or even sometimes outside the hash is fine too. It just gives us better coverage and better opportunity to sell whatever we need to sell if the back judge moves over there and is closer to the play.
Right. And if we continue the play, we have an interception. And if we look at the side judge, who becomes responsible for the runner at that point, we can see right now that the side judge is indicating first down. Sometimes we even see this by some officials during the play, that there's an interception and a deep official indicates first down during the play as the ball is being returned. Which is not exactly what happens here, because the runner gets tackled pretty quickly. But either way, that's not what we want. Just officiate the play normally. Don't make any signals during the play, because they have no value. No one is looking for you to signal anything. If you're signaling something, you're signaling something to someone. We always have a receiver of the signal that we're given. And if there is no receiver, then what is the point of the signal? This signal adds nothing. So what we want to do is to come up, get the spot, kill the clock, obviously, as we are getting to the spot. And once we are at the spot and we've killed the clock maybe 2 or 3 times, then we indicate the direction that we're going to play. Then we can give that signal, a first down signal, in the correct direction. But before that or during the play, it serves really no purpose at all.
Right. Good point. All right, excellent. That was this play. Moving on to play number 5. All right, on this play, we're looking initially here at the umpire, and really not during the play, but initial position. We talked about the back judge, we talked about referee center judge. Initial position for the umpire. Be careful not to line up too deep. Mofo says, somewhere between 5 and 7 yards, so that you can control the linebackers. Here we're lining up close to 9 yards deep, which is a tad deep. You also end up taking a lot more steps throughout the game if you do this consistently. So try to get in there between 5 and 7. That also means that the defensive players, they know exactly or more or less where you are, so that they can work around you. All right, so let's have a look at the play. And you had a comment on the referee here.
Yeah, this is one of the things that we see, I think, a fair amount with a lot of referees in Europe, and this pinching after the play is over, getting perhaps a little bit too close. We have an 8-man crew here, which is absolutely fantastic. And in an 8-man crew, we already have 2 officials that will take care of the stuff in the middle, the referee and center judge. And they are both doing exactly what they should be doing on this play. The referee, if there's nothing special going on that he needs to get in on, then he should actually hang back and be responsible for substitutions. And I think this is an area of the referee job that we are not necessarily as good at as we should be in Europe. Perhaps because situational substitutions and all that is not that big of a thing in European football compared to the football over there. But it is a thing that we still have to be aware of, and it is our responsibility. And it is more difficult to do that job if we get hung up in pinching and getting in after each play, the way we used to do it back in the days on a 5-man crew or something. We have to adjust to both the bigger crew that gives us better possibility to hang back, and also that the responsibilities for a referee have evolved. We have this new substitution thing. It's not that new, but it's sort of new, and it's something we have to be mindful of and not get caught up in pinching, especially on a play like this where there's really no need for the referee to pinch. There might be needs for the referee to pinch sometimes. This play here, you can just hang back and start as soon as you've cleared the action, get into substitution mode.
Yeah. Another thing that's kind of a pet peeve of mine is referee and center judge here both indicate the end of the play right there with your hand up. To me, that looks like they were looking at the runner. Their focus was on the runner, which it really shouldn't be. We've got the wings to take care of the runner. Center judge, referee, we should be cleaning up. To me, really the only one with the plays over signal is the one responsible for the ball or the runner.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So, you're the one that decides the rules that the ball is dead.
Yeah.
You're the one that gives the signal.
Yeah. So hang back, clean up. Obviously, the center judge goes in, but like you said, the referee stays back and watches substitutions. Excellent. That was this play. Now let's move on to number 6. So as a follow-up on the previous play, here's one where it actually, almost matters that we take care of the cleanup. So if we look at the center judge here, he actually runs past opposing players to get to the dead ball spot, to the runner. Where the umpire is right there. So he's in charge. He can handle that. The wings coming out, he can handle that. We would much rather prefer the center judge to hang back here and actually dead ball officiate these two players. And you had a comment on it's pretty much the same for the referee here.
Yeah, it's this is something that perhaps the referee could have helped with, but if you pinch too much, that might be difficult because you're focused in on something. But if we talk about the center judge and the umpire, something we don't have to be is to be too obsessed with the getting the ball and spotting the ball. And it's not necessarily the case that if you are the center judge, you need to get to the ball quickly because you're going to do the spots well. If you can't because you have something else to do, which trumps that, and I think this does, you want to hang back and you want to make sure nothing happens with those players which are right there.
Yeah.
Then there is no rush getting to the ball. There is an umpire there, just like you said, can help out. We have to be a little bit more dynamic in the approach to who spots the ball. We don't have to get to the ball that quickly.
No, I see a lot of officials with too much focus on the ball. We need to, if we want to get to that next level, we need to get better at looking at blocks away from the ball, because we typically only have 1 or 2 officials who should be looking at the ball. Everybody else should be looking at other stuff, blocks, cleanup in this case, dead ball officiating, stuff like that. So this is a good example of where we can improve on that. Excellent. Let's move on to number 7. All right, so on this play, we're actually not looking at the play, but we're looking at an interesting mechanic or something that we should try to avoid. We're looking at the initially here, referee and center judge, and when the referee winds the clock, so makes the ball ready for play in relation to when the center judge gets into position. So right there, the referee winds the clock, which is pretty much at the same time as the center judge turns around, so that we have that that combination. So from this angle, so right now the referee winds the clock, but before he does that, we have a situation here, and you mentioned this also, Einar, where we're leaving the ball unattended.
Yeah. And usually when we do this, it all works out. Nothing bad happens. Perhaps that's why it's done too often. But the risk we run when we leave the ball like this, no one's covering the ball. Look at the quarterback. He is ready to go. And we do get the ready for play in before the snap, so we're all good. But what we risk is having a snap before the ready. And when no one is covering the ball, I think this is just after a penalty enforcement. And on those plays where we had a break in the action, penalty enforcement, timeouts, change of possession, stuff like that, when there is a ready for play that we need to wait for, we need to cover the ball. Umpire or center judge, work out whoever does it, but somebody needs to cover the ball. We cannot run the risk of the ball being snapped too early. If that happens, it's a foul by A, but it's a situation that is created by us.
Yeah.
And that's really something we can't do. If this ball would have been snapped early, certainly there will be 1 or 2 downgrades for the officials on that play, because it's completely avoidable. We are in complete control of those situations up to, we can almost make sure, almost 100%, that it doesn't happen if we use proper mechanics. Yeah. So hold the ball after all these situations where we have to wait for a whistle.
So what we can do, what we could have done here is for example, communicate to the quarterback, wait for the whistle, so that and most of the time that helps, so that he knows that he can't snap the ball right now.
Yeah.
Another thing,
if you're not doing it by position, by holding, physically being over the ball, then just like you said, Frank, there are other ways to do it, but you have to do something.
Yeah. Another thing for the center judge is to turn around quicker. Right now, the center judge is not ready, and that may be part of the reason why the referee is holding up his ready. But once you clear the players right here, turn around and face the ball and backpedal out, so that at least you know what's going on. And you're absolutely right. When I'm the referee, I hate this time right here, where the ball is not ready, but they could potentially snap the ball. I want to close that window down to as much or as small a window as absolutely possible.
Yeah.
So that's and it's avoidable by communication, by mechanics, by talking to each other. All right, good points. Let's move on to play number 8. So on this play, obviously, this is a punt, and we're looking initially at the mechanics. It's going to be a shank. It's going to go out of bounds here, and as soon as it goes out of bounds, the ball becomes, and the progress spot, the out of bounds spot, becomes the sole responsibility of, in this case, the side judge who's on this sideline. So it becomes the responsibility of the back judge and the field judge to do cleanup, so that the back judge could be looking at something right here maybe, or if something is happening there, pick out some players that look interesting. The main point here is don't look at the ball anymore. Pick out something else, because if you're not responsible for the ball, find some blocks, find some cleanup, find some dead ball officiating that you can look at. And then the ball goes out of bounds, Einer.
The ball goes out of bounds at pretty much the 45, and we wind up missing it about a yard, which of course is unfortunate. But I think it's understandable that the side judge, and not only understandable, I would say it's correct that the side judge sees if something happens out of bounds and prioritizes the out of bounds action above the spot. The spot is of course of interest, but it's a punt that goes over the sideline. It's not going to be critical. But there is an interesting thing that happens on the sideline that we don't see. If we look at the coach in the blue jacket and the headset, that we can just see at the bottom there, you see his action right there. Well, I think it's pretty clear that this coach is basically taking a dive, doing a flop. He looks for contact with the opponent, or if you can call a player on the other team an opponent, but I guess you can, and then goes down. It appears to be in an attempt to draw a flag. Now, I don't think we actually see this, so I don't think a judgment is made by the officials on this action. But certainly, I would have supported a flag for this. I would say it's quite unsportsmanlike. And even though the contact takes place in the coaching box, this thing is just not okay. And if we feel that a flag is too much, then at least we need to have a talk to this coach and let him know that his action needs to be, his future behavior needs to be slightly modified. So yeah, there's an interesting. We don't see these a lot. We don't see coaches trying to draw flags a lot. We don't see a lot of players doing it either, actually, which is a good thing for our sport. And because it is a good thing for our sport, perhaps we should nip it in the bud when it does happen.
All right, excellent, good points. So let's move on to the last two plays, which are actually go together. So let's start with play number 9. So on this play, we have well, not really the play itself, but the lining up of the defensive line. You had a good comment here, Einer.
Well, I've been kind of nice and soft, and I've given both wing officials a correct call for calling this defensive offside lining up with a neutral zone. But what we prefer is that we have a play like this, that the official on that side makes the determination alone if it's an offside or not. So in this case, it would be the line judge, because the camera is on the chain side. The line judge alone would rule on the defensive end of his side if it's offside or not. Because what we want to avoid is a situation where the near official that has to play on his side, or the player on his side, decides that it is legal, and the off official or the backside official or whatever you want to call him that is furthest away from this decides that it's a foul. It's let's leave the decision to the nearest official. Now, you could have situations where it's okay, certainly, to have two flags for offside, but normally in those plays we would have some sort of movement. For example, somebody coming up, a linebacker coming up and trying to time the snap in the middle of the formation. In those cases, we're not that concerned with which side of the center did he go, because those are instantaneous, and we need to it's a split-second decision. But lining up is not, and we would prefer the official on that side alone to make those calls.
Yeah, and the next part of this, when we do like we do here, we have two flags after the play. Now we have to have a conference. Now, radios make it a little easier, but we end up slowing down the penalty enforcement, the penalty reporting, because now the wings have to make sure that they actually have the same foul. So the penalty enforcement is a little bit slower. It may only be a few seconds, but let's save what we can when we can. So I absolutely agree with you here. We should only have one flag here. All right.
So the grading wise, normally this would be a marginal call for the offside official, or the in this case the linesman. That would be normally be given as a marginal call. Don't know why I didn't do that, but well,
you were being nice.
I was being nice.
Yeah. All right. So let's compare this one to play number 10. That is very similar. All right. So compared to the last, this what you mentioned in the last clip, Einar, actually happens on this one, right?
It's the very next play actually, and as you can see, there is a defensive player who gets real close to neutral zone. I can't really tell if he's in or not. It's close, but it's pretty good angle for us, but I can't tell for sure. But it is a player clearly on the other side of the ball, and we have the official, the linesman on this side, making the call. And this is really what we want to avoid, that the official nearest to something has made a ruling and rules this to be legal. And then an official that is further away makes a determination on the same action and decides that it's illegal. That's not a situation we want. Also, just to mention, I don't know if this was a fact because we don't have sound on this video, but if you look at the game report for the previous foul called, it was the wrong number on the penalty report. And I don't know if they announced the wrong number, because this is actually the same player that commits these two fouls. So if we announced the wrong number on the last play, I'm not saying that we did. I don't know. According to the report, we did announce the wrong number. Did he know that he was called for the offside on the last play? I mean, that's an interesting question. I don't have an answer, but the same guy commits these two offsides, and the wrong number was given on the first, which is just an interesting tidbit.
So it's a good illustration of why it's important to get the right number, and why it's important to communicate to at least the sideline what the foul was and what the number was, so that they can communicate to their players.
Yeah, and perhaps they did that. So I'm not saying that they didn't, because I don't know, but it's the wrong number. So the only thing I can go by is that they got the wrong guy for it, which I'm not sure actually happened, but you know.
Right. Excellent. Good point. Okay, so that was 10 plays with mechanics that you know that we need to look at, that we need to continuously improve on. Now let's finish on a high note with our tip of the hat. So our tip of the hat for this training tape goes to the line judge, Einar.
It does indeed. I think this is a very nice piece of wing officiating. The ball is snapped down pretty much the 5-yard line, and 5 and in, when we talked about A's goal line, that's where the wings have primary responsibility for the goal line. And I like the reaction straight back to the goal line. I don't think it's necessary to read too much before you move. I think it's good just to move. If you've got a goal line responsibility, even if it's coming out, move to the goal line immediately. I think that's the best move you can make, and that's what he does. And then also
you do the same. You do the same with Team B's goal line, right? If you have responsibility, absolutely, you just go.
Yeah. And as the play progresses, he goes to the goal line and he lets the runner get at an appropriate distance before he starts trailing. You don't have to chase him straight away. You shouldn't chase him straight away, which he does not. So this is a nice cushion before he starts trailing, and the runner goes out of bounds. And as we can see, if Frank continues the clip,
there we go.
And when he goes out of bounds, the line judge holds back a little bit. He has the spot fixed in his mind, but if you run to the spot and put your foot down immediately, basically you're right on top of the players, which is usually not a good thing. So it's fixed into his mind. He lets the players take care of what they need to do. He has his focus on them. Good dead ball officiating. They get up, he gets the ball, puts it down to spot with it. Exactly what we need to do. So this is just a really good example of how this play should be handled. Smooth, in control of what needs to be in control of, and just a nice piece of officiating.
And that is why he gets our tip of the hat. All right. Thank you, Einar. That is it for this training tape. Please stay tuned. We have more games coming, more international IFAF games coming. So hopefully we'll be able to make more of these training tapes. Good luck out there if you're lucky enough to work games, and we'll see you in the next training tape.